Step into the world of Founders Dinner. Stories of entrepreneurial wins, losses, and lessons. Where the essence of entrepreneurship is unraveled in its most authentic form. Stas Balanevsky serves as your guide on this journey of discovery and inspiration. In each episode, Stas brings together entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds to share their stories. It's not just about their victories, but more about the resilience and adaptability they've shown in the face of adversity. These narratives are more than just stories. They are lessons in courage, determination, and the relentless pursuit of success. So whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, dreaming of launching your first venture, or an established business leader seeking new perspectives, Founders Dinner is your invitation to explore the transformative power of entrepreneurship. And now, without further ado, let's welcome the host of Founders Dinner, Stas Balanevsky.
Welcome to the Founders Dinner podcast. I'm your host, Stas Balanevsky, and I have the pleasure of having Dan Bajus with me as my guest today. Dan, how are you, sir?
Doing great, Stas. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Your story is a really interesting and awesome one, and I would love for you to share your entrepreneurial journey with our probably 2 subscribed listeners.
Perfect. Yeah, so I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. My parents had a small business growing up, and then I knew I wanted to get into a career in healthcare, helping people, but I also knew I wanted to probably own a practice of some kind. So to make a long story short, that led me down a path of pursuing a career in physical therapy. And at the same time, I pursued a business minor and then came right out of school, went to work for someone that was a great clinical mentor. And being the very humble 20-something-year-old, I told him that I was going to start a practice either with or without him. And so he chose to do it with me. And I'm grateful for the grace he extended me in that conversation, I guess, at this point, looking back on it. So that started off with a partnership. And then, as is often the case, I spent some time just investing in my own ability as a leader, business owner, kind of even learning like basic business things through some programs, continuing ed events, other mentors and networking, things like that. And as I kind of grew in that entrepreneurial journey, I realized that our visions were very different. And at the time when we joined as partners, I just didn't have any experience to really understand what I was looking for, what I wanted to do. As that grew and as my ability grew as a business person entrepreneur, we decided to part ways. So then a few years ago, we did that amicably, which was actually a feat in and of itself. And we rebranded, started Limitless Physical Therapy. So now we have 3 locations in Rochester, and we're getting ready to open a 4th and a 5th in the next 12 months. That's part of our business plan, which is exciting. We've got about 35 employees now, which is awesome. And I love what we do in the communities. It's really a privilege to do the work that we do with our team, both internally, and then to see that play out in all the lives of the people they get to work with in the communities we serve. So it's pretty great.
That's so awesome. Congratulations. I mean,
yeah.
So, your parents were entrepreneurs. What sort of business were they in?
They're a millwork company. So they made commercial cabinets and desks and all kinds of like high-end custom millwork for commercial space. Not like kitchen cabinets for your house, but more like big reception areas in a hospital or a school, things like that. And that was kind of where they landed.
Awesome. And when you were growing up, were you in the business? Were you free?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Free labor is right. Actually, my parents did it pretty cool. They paid us probably significantly more than we were worth, but they made us pay for all of our own stuff. So like at a pretty young age, we would do our own, like with mom, of course, but like they gave us because they paid us, and then we would go do our school shopping and we had money to figure that out. So we kind of learned the value of a dollar pretty young that way.
That is awesome. Has that paid some dividends in your entrepreneurial career?
Yeah, I think so. I still think I think my tendency is to probably invest quickly in things. So like it's easy for me to spend money and put it back into the business, and maybe harder to spend money on like stuff for us or for me, so maybe stingy with myself, but if I can see the return coming from it, then it's easy for me to spend money that way. So that's probably the biggest lesson learned.
Interesting. That's awesome. So you said you were 20 something. What was the something? How old were you when you joined this practice?
Well, 24, 20, 23, something like that. Yeah.
So fresh, like bang,
Right
fresh
out of
out of
college. Yeah.
school. And then when did you become a partner?
Within a couple of years. So
Wow.
it was pretty quick. And I was, I could see right away the way that a lot of small privately held practices ran was one person benefited a ton from it financially, and then everyone else kind of didn't. So I knew that I needed to get ahead of the kind of normal rat race there. So there was definitely financial incentive there for us because I wanted more for our family and stuff. So, and then also that's kind of how we've set up our practice, and a lot of our success is trying to prioritize financial transparency so everybody's able to see kind of where the money goes and everyone has a stake in the outcome.
That's phenomenal. So you are, I mean, I think I know where you're headed, considering the $7.3 trillion of wealth that is going to transfer within the next 8 years,
Hmm.
right? I mean, you're obviously nailing the M&A game, right? So are you, the two new offices, are these like from the ground up starts or are these acquisitions?
Yeah, no, they're from the ground up starts. Yeah.
Wow.
So I had one strategic merger. I
Mhm.
had a solopreneur, so a lady who had been in a very niche space in physical therapy, and I saw the opportunity to bring her in and help build up that book of business. So that's pelvic floor physical therapy. It's very niche, and a very small percentage of physical therapists actually do that. So we have our own training program for like internally for our team. And so we built out our own program for pelvic floor physical therapy. So that's now about 40% of our total business, which is pretty exciting. So that was a good choice. That one was a little providence and lots of hard work, and that really did pay off. That was a good choice. And actually, it was a cool way for that person to exit her career in a really positive way because I we bought out her business, and she was getting close to retirement anyway. So it was a real win-win.
That's wonderful because many, many more of those opportunities are going to be coming down the pike in the next decade, as baby boomers age out.
Yeah.
And they're saying that 1 out of 12 businesses will be acquired, the other ones will just shutter.
It's been a trend in physical therapy in all healthcare for that matter, that private equity has come in and tried to consolidate a lot of the space. And I think there's pros and cons, and I think you have to be the right seller, honestly, to want to sell the private equity. What we're trying to do is create opportunities for our team. And so, kind of the next chapter for us looks a lot like bringing in partners at some level to be able to have kind of equity in the company and then share that so that at some point there's a larger ownership group more than just myself. So I think that's growth for our team too, if that makes sense. Not just for me, professional growth too. You learn a lot when you have skin in the game. It's a different game, right?
Completely different game. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Congratulations. Like your own training program, going to be 5 offices. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like everything's gone just perfectly well as planned. No issues, no problems,
Yeah.
right? Just every entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, no, certainly lots of hiccups along the way. One of the I don't know. You preloaded me a little bit on this, so I'm ready for you. But we're talking about bumps or bruises along the way, and I thought a lot about this. One of the things that's really important to me is authenticity. The idea of me being an authentic leader and having a business that's authentic. So that means, in my mind, that means that things like core values, mission, and vision actually mean something that they're put into practice every day. And that's something that I've learned by application. So lots of wise people and wise content out there that's helped shape how we do that in our practice. So the thought, like one of the big ones, big lessons learned, if I were to look back through journals or things like that, was when we were early on and we were trying to build momentum from a marketing standpoint. You actually know part of this story too. We were trying to build some momentum from a marketing standpoint, and I came across a company that had a product that was specifically for physical therapy, for generating leads, warm leads for physical therapy. So kind of top of the funnel leads, but it was the whole system. And at the time, it was like a really big expense for us. It's funny looking back at now where we are, wouldn't be big expense at all. But when at the time it was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this ever? So I got really sucked into their sales pitch, and they were very polished at knowing what my pain points were and knowing how to leverage that. And then their sales process was very good at getting you to move to a decision. So in hindsight, I learned a lot about how to do that well too from them. What I didn't see was the fact that everything they were doing was like a canned marketing approach. So it really didn't have our voice. It didn't resonate as authentic. And I couldn't see that until we started doing it. And so what happened is we got the system implemented, we started working with their team, and then we started getting these emails back from like our existing patients that we would connect with via email, and they would say, "You didn't write this, did you?" Like things like that. Or my team would say, "Man, the content in this workshop is terrible. Like this is not how we talk to patients." And so at that point, I was really invested, both from a financial standpoint, but also the ego had come into play. Like, well, we need to do this. It's an important thing. And so we I kind of pushed into that a little longer than I probably should have, because I felt like we had too much invested in it, and I probably didn't want to admit that it was not the right call. Like I had made a big mistake there. So we ended up exiting that relationship earlier than the term was supposed to be, because we just finally made the decision, like, this is not working. This is not, it's just not genuine. It's not who we are. It's not how we talk to patients. My team doesn't feel good about it. I'm not feeling good about it. So we ended up parting ways with that company. And then I had to really own it and just apologize to my team that I put them through that. And my reflection on the backside of that, there were two big lessons learned. One, that if authenticity is important, then you can't shortcut that. There's no way to do that. You have to put the work in and develop your own content and do those things, like, and there's no quick fix for that. Basically, it has to come from you and your team. You have to do that. So that was number one. And number two is just trusting your team, the input from your team sooner. So not hanging on, learning that you've put people around you on purpose, hopefully, right? That know you and also know your business, and they they know what they want it to be too, based on the vision that you've put out there. And so I think I just persisted too long in that with the team, and that was it probably was, and just an ego thing for me, right? And so what that looks like on the other side is creating lots of channels for feedback from the team if we're doing a new thing. And also I have the BS gut check I tell everyone. So like if we're doing something as a team that we're going to put out that's public facing, even doing something like this, I'll put it out to the team. Like if I'm going to present somewhere or do something, and I'll say, "Hey guys, is this us? Am I overselling this, or is this authentic?" And I'll get feedback from the team on that. And it's super helpful. Like a lot of times they'll see things from a different angle that I have not entirely. And that's been really cool to see that as our team's grown now, and we have people who are in like leadership roles who really understand our core ideology. They'll speak some truth into us, into me or whoever, and just say, "Yes, it's great," or "No, like you missed the mark on this or that." And so that's actually kind of cool to see that come full circle now.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations on the lesson learned, because the thing that you're granting them, are you familiar with psychological safety? So the sort of the four layer.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, I figured you would be. So, you're absolutely granting them that challenger safety and encouraging them to challenge you. And, for you to admit that you made a mistake that you thought was partially ego driven is huge. Right.
So on the other side of it too, Stas, the interesting thing is, and thinking about it, I knew that wasn't right before I made the decision, but it seemed like the fast and easy way to do it. And then looking back on it, you obviously have clarity in hindsight, like, but in the moment, that seemed like the best option to quickly implement a solid lead generating funnel for us, and it just didn't pan out. So what I knew was right from the beginning was to build my own team of people who could help with marketing and leverage some outsourced people who are specialized, but really we needed our own people to do this so they could do it our way. And so now we have this really cool marketing team that exists of a couple people in our smaller organization. And then we outsource a couple of really key things. And actually you helped us get connected with some of those people that we're outsourced with. And yeah, and other than that, we do all of our own content. We publish our own videos, we publish our own landing pages, and all of the content that goes to patients or to referring providers is 100% us. And it's really cool. So here's the real win. We just started 7 new providers, 7 new therapists across 3 locations, and they all started with full schedules because of our marketing team. They rock it. So we didn't miss a beat because we had enough leads generated to go right ahead and full schedules, which is 3 years ago, that was not a thing. We had very inconsistent, like we were growing, but it was growing with cyclically, you know, and now we just have a steady referral stream, which is really awesome.
That's incredible. And
yeah,
it's funny. The one thing that I really want to sort of attach myself to is trusting the gut. You said, I knew I shouldn't do this, but I did it anyway. Right? I filmed, I don't know, probably 25 episodes of this podcast. And maybe 20 of them, someone says, yep. Yeah. So the little voice in my head said, don't do it. And then I did it.
Yeah.
Because we don't, our self-talk sometimes doesn't allow us to trust that little voice, which is so unbelievably smart.
It's the desire to do it faster, right? Like in my case, that's really what it came down to. It was like, this seems good. And this guy seems like he knows what this business, this team, this sales team, they know me is kind of what I was starting to believe. But then my mantra on the other side was, you probably are and have all that you need to implement the changes that you need in your business. So like belief in yourself is really important. Your ability to do that, see it through. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be on you if it works out. It's going to be on you if it doesn't work out. You might as well believe in yourself.
Right. Yeah. And I think, you know, the lessons learned are super important. And also on the backside of failure is oftentimes big success, right? And so that it seems like forever ago, but it really wasn't that long ago in our life cycle as a business. It was early on, and I'm just thankful for the sticking with it. And it's a number of years that we've successfully implemented a good marketing team. And so just hear that too, I guess. It's a number of years. It wasn't a quick fix.
Right.
Like it wasn't a plug and play marketing solution. So yeah, just being patient, disciplined strategy kind of implemented over time is really what it comes down to for that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's another EOS implementer out there, and his mantra is success loves discipline. Right? You know, those incremental. I just had a team in my session room today, and one of their core values is look for the 1% win. And it is amazing to me how much 1% compounded actually is. Right?
Yeah, no, that's very, very powerful, especially if you have a whole team of people looking for the 1% win every day. Like that's game changing year over year.
It is. It's absolutely amazing that, you know, sort of the numbers they put up, the happiness that is on the team, you know, not without struggle, of course, because, you know, you don't appreciate it if you don't struggle. And yeah, those 1% wins, that discipline, that self-belief is so unbelievably important. You know, you look at some crazy leaders like a Steve Jobs, right? Like, I want to build a phone with no buttons on it. You're a psychopath. You're insane. And he's like, nope, I'm going to do it. and finds another crazy designer inside his firm, right? Partners up, and bang, we have the most ubiquitous electronic device on the planet.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. So what's the future, right? You're going to be at five locations at the end of this year, next year?
Hopefully by the end of 2025, we've got 5 locations going. So, well, great question. So I've been thinking a lot about in our business planning, kind of what are the big constraints to our growth. And so one of the big ones is leadership development. So we've worked a lot on honing our leadership pathway and the content that we're putting people through and mentoring that we're putting people through for leadership development.
Mhm.
Because if you jump from, multi locations, you really need to have middle level leaders in each of those locations so that I kind of letting go so you can be freed up to do the next thing. What do they say in EOS? Letting go of the vine.
Yeah, letting go of
That's
the
the
vine.
line, right? Yeah, that's it, right? So that's a big piece. So we've been investing in that a bunch. We also know that healthcare, the business model of healthcare is really tough financially. So you see it shake out in a lot of big hospital systems and all the way down to small private practices like ours are, that it's really volume driven. And so, in other words, if we want to make more money or be more profitable, we have to see more patients and with the same amount of people, and that's a lose, right? So that's not good for our team, and it's really not good for patients because two things: one, you're going to be treated by a burnt out provider, and two, there's no way you can provide the kind of care that we want to do if we have to see a high volume practice. So the next big constraint is innovating our business model a little bit. Or actually innovating it a lot so that we can have other ways to generate different streams of revenue. So that's the other way we want to grow, is not just geographically, is really try to invest in how we're innovating to be able to see still see all insurance types and still serve everyone in our community, but look for ways that we can do that outside of the traditional insurance-based model so that we don't have to see a super high volume of patients to generate or be profitable. So trying to toe that line. Those are the two big, I think, areas of growth for us. And what else I told you on our phone call, I'm excited about our app. We've built out and are launching an app which will help serve some of that purpose. And then also it's internal, so we're using it for all of our training internally. So we host all of our courses and everything on there for our team, and like our communication. It's kind of like our own little social media feed for our team, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
And then also externally, we're going to use it for things like hosting webinars, group health coaching calls, some different kind of patient facing courses. Like if there's a specific problem that we want to build a course out for, we'll do that and then have people engage with us on the app that way, like with a video call like this. So
Oh,
that's
nice.
exciting to see that come to fruition. That should launch actually. They keep adding weeks to it, but I'm told it will launch by the end of this week. So that'll be really exciting to get that
Oh,
going.
congratulations. That's awesome. So by the time this podcast episode airs, your app will be out.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. We'll make sure to have a link in the description so that people that want it can grab it.
We're
That's
really excited about the potential for the changing, like the bigger picture of health. And it's become clearer that the more we lean into the growing our team and growing our being really mission driven, is that there's two key pieces. One is building community. So it's really awesome to see community come together in our office, but it's also nice to have a community outside of a social media platform that we can leverage. And this is way more interactive, way more fun than like a plain email campaign or something like that, because we can really engage with the app. So that'll be really nice. And the other big piece is looking at like whole health or whole person health and fitness. So when you come to see a therapist, a physical therapist for, let's say it's back pain, or we'll say knee pain because you're a skier, Stas. Yeah. So knee pain, looking at addressing that problem, but also addressing the bigger lifestyle pieces too, so that your overall health improves. And so traditionally, PT would fix your knee pain and then send you on your way. Some people get a little more down in the fitness game. So your work feels more like a workout in there. But thinking about things like sleep and nutrition and hydration and stress management, those kind of big picture items that improve your overall health. And then how do we engage with you on our app to be able to continue to see that happen, see those improvements happen after your episode of care for X problem, whatever it is. So those are
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm excited to see it play out. It should be pretty fun. And also keeping that at that engagement there and seeing the true lifestyle change happen, but doing it in a way that's a ton of value to our clients and a very affordable price. So like there, I think the potential is there for that to be a real game changer, one of our kind of paradigm shifts that we're looking for in that, or innovation to try to change our business model a little bit.
That's spectacular because I'm sort of on that journey a little bit. Not, thankfully, knock wood, there wasn't a PT component because I've been, I haven't banged myself up since, college. But, sort of that journey, I have a client that, they are gym equipment, right? And I had them in the room the other day and I said, do any of you know a personal trainer that'll help me in at my building? And he's like, yeah, I've got a guy on staff. He'd be fantastic. So I'm like immediately like, okay, this is going to be great because I've been working on nutrition. Sleep has never been a problem, right? So sort of trying to check all those boxes because all those things in combination are the things that make it go.
Yeah, you
Right.
got it.
My goal is to be able to ski with grandkids, and I don't have, my boys aren't married. So, I need to stay healthy for a long time to be
Yeah.
able to go skiing with them.
Yeah, that sounds good. I love that. That's really important. Being
Yeah.
connected to the bigger picture, you know. Um, we really believe that everybody has something of value that's unique to them that they bring to the world, right? And so when you come see us for a problem, it's bigger than just that problem. We're clearing the way for you to be able to live in your purpose and bring that unique thing to the world. And that's kind of a really cool way to think about where we stand in the health journey of any of our patients.
That is an amazing, amazing spot to be. That's really cool.
Hmm.
Wow, so exciting. So great. So if you were to give advice to someone, exiting school, has been bitten by the entrepreneurial bug, right? Has a
Hmm.
family lineage of it, and here you are. What's the thing to do? What's the first thing to do? What's the first thing to look out for as somebody entering the working world?
It's a great question. I think it, I guess I can share from experience. The first thing we work on with all of our new professionals is building out their own personal true north, which looks like your own personal mission or purpose statement, your core values, and your vision for the different areas of your life. So, kind of when it's individual, it kind of looks like an ideal future self for different areas of your life. Because we just believe, or I believe, that you can't lead corporately where you haven't led privately. So it's really hard to be a visionary if you don't have any vision for your life or for the different relationships in your life or for your fitness or for your faith or different things that are important to you. So getting clear on those things are really important. And I've seen in all of that, so that True North statement or the True North workshop we put people through, one of the things they take away from that is just getting clarity on who they are, what's their identity, what do they ascribe worth or meaning to. These are kind of big questions that a lot of people really don't have an answer to, and a lot of people who've been in their career for a long time don't have an answer to because they've never really thought that deeply about it. So what that does is it gets people on a path where they've got a vision that they want to pursue. So I would say that would be the first most important thing, is to get clarity on those things that are most important to you. So your own purpose, get clarity on your core values, or the behaviors that you really want to say yes to. You're saying these are the most important things to me. And then get clarity on some aspirations for different areas of your life. What do you want it to look like 3 to 5 years from now in your relationships, in your career, in your faith, in your fitness, all these, in your finances, all these areas that you could check off the boxes on. That's part one. And then the part two is, what was your implementer guy's quote on discipline?
Oh yeah, success loves discipline.
Success loves discipline. So the discipline to set a rhythm of checking in with yourself daily, weekly, and probably quarterly, right? If we follow the EOS model, am I tracking against these aspirations? Did I set some goals and am I knocking those down? And that's kind of that 1% mentality. If you're doing that daily, weekly, and quarterly, you're going to make small changes that add up over time, and you're going to end up where you wanted to end up on purpose rather than ending up somewhere on accident or on someone else's agenda. So those would be my, in truth, this is what I do with all of our new team members. It's what I've tried to do with my boys. We work through some of the same content for them. Let it be a little more self-directed when you're dad versus employer, but it's a little bit different relationship, obviously. But no, just get clear on who you are and where you want to go, and then set a pace of how you're going to get there. And those are, says easy, but does hard, I think, for most people to stick with the discipline, especially as a new professional.
That is sage advice, man. Sage advice. If one person, one stranger takes this advice and executes, number one, you owe Dan an email to say thank you. So make sure you do that. But yeah, that's huge.
It comes down to what I said earlier, that I really think everyone has something unique and that's valuable that they bring to the world, right?
Mhm.
And it's not a given that it's going to be expressed. You have to work at it. You have to have a clarity around what you want, and then you have to go after it. And I think that a lot of people are not scratching the surface of their purpose or the potential impact they can make for the simple fact that they're distracted and haven't ever actually sat down and thought about it and put pen to paper on it. And so that's powerful when you can do that. So the other piece that comes alongside that is your community, right? So who's in your life, who's in your life that knows your true north, and are those people serving that well or not? Are they helping you become that future version of yourself, or are they holding you back? Like those are just, for new professionals especially, like if you're in a community of folks who are reaching for the 1% every day versus people who are happy with being complacent in their career or happy being complacent in their relationships, that's, you're going to end up becoming a lot of, you're going to end up looking a lot like what your community looks like, I guess. So that'd be the other piece that goes along with it.
Yeah, this is so powerful and so important. And the cool thing about you and the things that you're saying are these are not theories. These are things that you're actually living. This is how
Mm-hmm.
you show up, right? You are deliberate. How many, stop me if this is too personal, but how many friend groups have changed for you as you've sort of matured in your business?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think what's interesting, Stas, I don't, this will, how do I say it in a way that, my best friend for the last bunch of years is my wife. So we met when we were 18, and she's probably the human who, or is definitely the human who, where we share all of this together, like we were taking the journey together on all of this. Apart from her, I have a handful of good friends that have stayed pretty consistent. I'm of the perspective that having a couple of really good friends is better than having a bunch of fake friends, so, or a bunch of superficial friends. So we've got a handful of couples, maybe two or three couples that are we're really good friends with, that have kids our kids' age, and they have similar parenting philosophy for that reason, right? We knew how we wanted to raise our kids, and so that was helpful, like when we have shared conversations like that. And then I have a peer group that they're my closest professional friends. So there's 6 people aside from me in that group, and we've been meeting for 4.5 years now. We meet once a week for an hour, and then we get together quarterly and in person. They're all across the country. Those are some of my closest friends, I would say. And then I've got a little group of guys that I'm really good friends with from my church. And that's pretty much it. Aside from our family, that's our circle, so people that are into it. What's interesting, and you'll get this because you've been in leadership roles, is when you are, I should say that too, but when you are in a leadership role and you're in a group, it changes the dynamic, right?
Yes.
Especially if you're leading the group, it's not like peers. So some of my closest friends are actually my leadership team for my business, right? So there's Bethany, my wife, and then there's two other people on the leadership team, and that circle is a very tight knit circle for us. We're very good friends, and I would consider everyone that I work with actually to be a really good friend. But the dynamic's different because I'm the boss, right? So there's definitely a different dynamic there. So yeah, it's the whole friend game is tricky when you're in charge.
It is,
And
it's
when
funny, one of the lines when we teach leadership management and accountability, one of the lines in the management questionnaire is, are you being their boss or their buddy?
yeah, yeah,
And it's tough. I have a couple of guys that, one guy that I'm thinking of specifically started at a company as an intern and like caught and passed everybody except for the CEO because he's now the
yeah.
CEO of this company. And all of these people that used to be like mentors and bosses are now, his direct reports.
Mm,
And it's a tough road to hoe because, you know, I can't listen, I can't be like your buddy going out and doing dumb stuff and then like have it be okay to show up late on a Monday.
yeah.
He's like, I can't
There's
do that.
it's the balance of I would find it really I guess I lead from the heart. That's who I am. And if I didn't have a good relationship with someone, I wouldn't feel like I would be able to manage them as well to a standard. So I think it's a difference between inspiration versus information as a leader, manager of people, So I was just joking with someone saying that we are going to change our one-to-ones to heart-to-hearts in our office. And it's not because we're real touchy-feely or anything. It's just because we really care about each other.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting is when you get over the fact that when you care enough about a person to see them be better and that care for that person outweighs your desire to be liked, then you can lean in. So most people are paralyzed by either they're uncomfortable getting into a hard conversation with someone, and so that discomfort just lets them avoid it, or they're going to put on a show because they just want to be liked by that person. But those are all you focused things, right? You're thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
And so
There you go.
we believe in servant leadership, and the definition of humility is thinking of yourself less. And so if you're thinking of yourself less and thinking about how much you care about the person sitting across the table from you, you owe it to them to lean into those management conversations where you're holding them to a standard and holding them accountable. That's loving people,
It is
right?
totally
That's
agree.
not touchy. That's not touchy feely. Sometimes that feels like a headlock, right? I mean, you're really getting into it with people, like having hard conversations. But most managers suck at it, pardon my language, because those are the two big reasons. One, they're afraid of conflict, or two, they really want to be liked. They're more concerned with being liked. And those are inward looking, not outward looking at the person across the table from you.
So I'm going to take a bet that you've read Kim Scott's book, Radical Candor.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
good.
It's amazing. It's funny. She did a fireside chat with our chief revenue officer at our last conference, and she is just spectacular to listen to.
I bet. Yeah.
Her stories and everything. But the thing that I love most about that matrix is, deep care about somebody but not wanting to hurt their feelings is classified as ruinous empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you don't tell somebody that there's something bad coming for them because you care so much about them. You don't want to hurt their feelings. But the thing that you're not telling them is coming is like a speeding bullet or a train.
Yeah. And what you just said is actually a lie, right? Because you don't it's not that you care too much about that person, it's that you care about preserving your own safety in that moment. So yeah, no, it's just true, and that does play out time and time again. And we've adopted radical candor as one of our foundational tools in our team, actually. So we took that book and turned it into a leadership intensive, so people go through a workshop on that, and then
Oh,
we
wow.
what's cool, again, it says like it was super hard. Anybody could do that. It was like a low budget, low effort thing where we bought some books, broke it down with some Q&A stuff in there for people. So there's some self-reflection prompts. Actually, Radical Candor has a wonderful website with a ton of resources for free on there that you can just take and use, implement them. But the real power in that is the shared language that's come from it. So like our people know now if they need to get into a tough conversation with someone, they'll say something like, she's really big in the book about real-time permission. So it might say, hey, Stats, I really care about you. I'm still learning about this whole radical candor thing, but is it okay if I practice that right now and give you some radically candid feedback? And then that automatically sets the tone because both people are on the same power differential at that point. And it really is pretty cool to see that play out. And the cool thing is 100% of the time, I've never had anyone say no to that question. Like not coming from me, but coming from other people in the organization. Like two people are going to go have a little head to head and they lead that way. And it always ends up being great. I've never had that blow up with real-time permission in the shared language, which is pretty cool.
It's crazy good. That's so important. I'm so unbelievably thrilled for your success, where you're going, how you're doing it. I think the thing that I'm most thrilled about is the how, not the what, right? The tools that you're using, the language, the genuine care for what you're building is the thing that's going to continue to be great for you. So congrats, man. It's awesome, this thing that you're doing.
Thanks, Sass. Appreciate it.
And I'm super grateful for you coming on the podcast, sharing your stories. Would you object to having your contact details in sort of the description when it's published?
No, that's fine.
Awesome. Thanks. So I guess with that, this would conclude this week's episode of the Founders Dinner podcast. And for those looking to connect with Dan, his contact details and LinkedIn and all of that are going to be in the description. And this is Stas Balanevsky signing off. See you all next week.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Founders Dinner, stories of entrepreneurial wins, losses, and lessons. Once again, we've journeyed through the inspiring and challenging world of entrepreneurship with Stas Balanevsky, uncovering stories that illuminate the resilience and adaptability at the heart of success. Each narrative shared today is a testament to the unyielding spirit of our entrepreneurial guests, providing lessons in courage and determination. We hope these stories have not only entertained, but also inspired you. Whether you're taking the first steps in your entrepreneurial journey or are a seasoned leader in the business world, Founders Dinner is more than just a podcast. It's a community of learning, inspiration, and connection. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more insightful episodes and join our vibrant LinkedIn community to continue the conversation, share experiences, and connect with like-minded entrepreneurs. Until next time, keep embracing the entrepreneurial journey. This is Stas Balanevsky, thanking you for being a part of the Founders Dinner family. See you at the next dinner.